It's also it's a great YouTube channel.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Rustamova, Central Park Medical Practice, and today is a very special day for us. We have two beautiful friends of mine, which I'm so honored to have, and I would love to share my experience with these beautiful people to the entire world, their knowledge, their wisdom. I want them to talk today. I'm going to be off camera, and I'm going to be asking questions, but I really want you to enjoy it. So we have today the one and only Dr. Sandra Rose Michaels. Yes, she's here. We're keeping it a secret, but then today we decided not to keep that so much secret, and she is going to talk today. We're going to ask questions. It's a live stream. You guys, if you have any questions, please type it. We will answer them. And along with Dr. Michael, we have someone who's very dear to me, Mark Becker. He's a mister that everybody knows. Everywhere you go, and when you say Mark Becker, everybody knows him. Why? Because he's been around in this spiritual community for so many years. He is the founder of New Life Expo. Yeah, the New Life Expo. That's him. He also founder of the magazine. But besides that, he's a yogi. He is such a well-rounded person, and just to be around and then just get so much knowledge from both of them. So let's do this. Look at them.
Hello there.
Thank you for coming, Mark.
Thank you for having. So I'm around two beautiful women that are so intelligent and so amazing in this field. Sandra Michael, who I happen to know for, should I tell them how long?
Yeah.
47 years. And I'm very proud of what she's done in the universe right now with the E machines. And we all know that everything is light, sound, energy, and vibration. That's all we are. That's all life is. And she's going to tell you a little bit how she invented these machines, which are living machines, actually, to help you not only raise consciousness, but raise your health, raise healing. And so let me ask you.
Well, some people don't realize, I mean, we go back so far, but this
Yeah.
is the same teachings, everything I was teaching 47 years ago, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that was, I met you way before you even started New Life Expo.
Oh, yeah.
But I taught it like first, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them or something.
Yes.
I don't know, a number of them.
Well, the expo's been great. I mean,
Yeah.
Dr. Shahnoz, she was in the expo 2 weeks ago in Brooklyn.
Along with Jason Shirka, too,
and
representing Unified Healing.
And also in March 16th and 17th in Boca, we're going to be having, hopefully, the E machine there and Jason. So this is about you. So tell me, when did you start the machine? What made you even do this?
Yeah, I built my first scalar healing light chamber in 1978 in my own spa. Yeah, back in the day. So that's where that started. But this version of the technology actually started in the early 90s, with the first full system being built in 1996.
Long time.
Yeah, so it's a while.
16. Right?
So we've had
years,
research
yeah.
and lots of research and development and doing the homework for a long time. But there's a lot of pure science to it. It's biophysics. It's applied integrated biophysics, but it's understanding the body as consciousness, conscious fields, understanding that integration of fields in the body, understanding the light and how that affects the photons and how the DNA is biophotonic. And remember me always talking about aloha, right?
That's right.
And always talking about that spiral, that spiraling into the double helix of the DNA to release anything that is not of core essence, because the core of the DNA is the light from the stars.
Right.
Yeah, and that's our God code. And so develop the technology to do that wave through the body of healing, that wave of healing, that wave of light, coherent light that activates the light at the core of the DNA, so that as we radiate that light, nothing that's not of that light can affect us. But it's giving the body the energy then, because of the charge, to heal itself. And so then there's, all the research. We could go really deep into the nuclear and quantum physics of it. And that bottom line is it's like a whole body cell charger, right. Wireless.
And we all know that. We all know that we are all lights. That's what we are.
Yeah.
And we all have to turn people on because we're lights. And you know that, people, that when you see somebody walking down the street and somebody's really an up person, their energy is up. You say, wow, that's such an up person. And you want to actually talk to them, be friends with them. And if somebody is walking down the street like really like this, down, go, what a downer. And so if you're up, you can bring other people up.
Mm-hmm. And it's the law of cell resonance.
That's right.
The cells vibrate and resonate with the power of truth. And it's, our love is what we share. That's our power. Right. That's our superpower, really.
Well, that's it. It's all about love.
Yeah.
It is all about love, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the energy that comes from these machines, how does it change people to bring them up? Because they do. It does bring them up. And you feel different when you leave machines. Tell them what the machines are. So they're different.
Yeah. Field engine generators. They look like computers. I mean, they look like computers, but it looks like 12 strands of DNA on the screen,
right, because
it's designed to activate the really highest potential, or the original divine design of our DNA. So it's designed to interface very precisely with the DNA.
And you don't even have to look at the machine.
No.
You just have to be there.
Yeah, I mean, just like, nobody has to understand anything. Nothing touches the body. It's like, like you recharge your cell phone, but you're recharging every cell of your body.
Mm-hmm.
But you take that power nap, and that's the thing. I mean, it's like yoga. It's based on that breath. It takes breath for energy to move. Yoga is also all about the breath.
Well, we know everything is energy.
Yeah. And it takes breath for energy to move. But that's that aloha, oneness with that breath and the love of all life. And that's that infinity wave, which is actually a scalar wave, the infinitely projected Mobius. But that's the dance of the DNA. Remember, that's what I would teach.
I love it.
That
the dance of the
creation,
DNA.
The dance of the DNA, and that wave through the body, the waves of energy through the body. But all it has to do with this is go in and take a power nap, and it's like a wireless battery charger
Well, all the energy centers in the body start at the root, the ground, and go up to the heavens.
And the chakras are scalar vortexes.
That's right.
Yeah. So it relates to the energy. It reminds the chakras and everything. Everything wants to be in balance. Pono is what we call it in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Pono,
like ho'oponopono, making
right.
What's right more right. Right relationship. Pono means balance. It also means effectiveness is the measure of truth. And of course, technology has been very, very effective at the by the fruit, the results.
One thing I like about it is that it helps heal. It helps your health. And it's kind of common sense that when we have an energy blockage in the body, we're not at ease. And we get disease.
Yeah.
So if we can have something to help the energy flow, then the stress or disease goes away. We're at ease and we're healthier.
Yeah, pretty easy. The power that made the body heals the body. That's like electrical, mechanical, structural engineering with physics. Biophysics is really that quantum and nuclear physics and metaphysics. It's spiritual science.
Right.
Yeah, because
so
we are
science proves
beings.
that it works.
We're beings of light.
We are beings of light. And Dr. Rustamova has it here at her practice in Manhattan, which is, if you're in Manhattan and you want to see how these machines work, you should come to the Shahnoz Rustamova Medical
It's Central Park Medical,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
But I
It's
like the way you said it.
Central Park Medical Practice, but it's right here on 58th Street. So it's really important that to not just hear what we're saying, but to experience what we're feeling. Very important. And you know, a lot of people hear about what's going on in the different fields, and until they experience it themselves, and usually they experience it themselves when something is off in them.
Yeah.
So
That's
this is
true.
a good preventative.
Well, synchronizing right and left brain hemispheres, so you have the whole brain thinking, and the brain controls the body. All the synapses, everything is energy in the body. The cells are like mini batteries meant to be at 70 to 90 millivoltage when healthy. So cancer can't exist till it's below 20. So this is, giving the body the energy to heal itself, activating and mobilizing the body's stem cells. So it's like a stem cell therapy without having to take anything out or it's very elegant, very efficient at how it creates that. But, we've seen anything and everything heal. So it's because the body wants to heal. It's a divine design.
Yeah. Now, why don't you come sit with us, Dr. Rustamova?
Well, I'm going to ask questions because I'm closer to the
But I
microphone.
want to ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
So, in the practice here,
Yes.
what have you noticed with people that sit in the E machine light?
Well, I was going to talk about this later, but I'm going to say now. Well, with our practice, we had tons of miracle stories here, and we do have them on our YouTube channel. We spoke about this with Jason Shorker. You can see it on his YouTube channel. Real miracle stories. When people come, they bring them on a wheelchair, and then 2 hours later, the person is pain-free. 3 days later, the person is walking out this very office themselves. 3 days later, not 3 months, not 3 years. So these are real, we call them miracle, but then once I spoke to Jason, he said, well, it's not really a miracle, it's normal. This is how we build, which is true. So you guys see me all the time. I want you to listen to these guys. Back to you guys. But I do have a question, though, for two of you. So today, the world is a crazy place. And it's not only physical problems that we're all facing. It's the energetic and emotional problems that we're facing. There's a lot of pain in the world. And people say, how can I not react to the pain that is happening? I'm human and I'm compassionate. And since both of you are such a wise people, I want you to give, what would be the advice to the person who is living this world today, observing what is happening, how to digest and how to keep the vibration and light up?
Besides turning off the TV?
That's number one, yes.
Turn off the television.
It's what you do with your
Absolutely.
life. In the morning, do you meditate? Do you do breathing? They say that meditation is listening to God, and praying is talking to God.
Right.
Two-way street. So we have to center. We have so many thoughts going through us all the time that if we contemplate, we slow the thoughts down. If we concentrate, we really slow it down to 1 or 2. If we meditate, we get between the thoughts. When you get between the thoughts, it's a universal energy, which is what Sandra was talking about with the machine.
The space between breaths where God
Right.
lives. Yeah, that's
right.
that 0 point energy. But this brings the body back to that point of balance and 0 point, where as you're aligned by the light, with the light, as the light, as you go into that point of right left brain synchronization, it's that balance of God, goddess within us, essentially. Then we have access to that infinite power, because we have access to unlimited power, infinite intelligence, unconditional love, should we choose to accept it.
Right.
And it's only a breath away, really. So it's a matter of remembrance of who we are, all that we're here for. But the technology supports that balance and the ideal optimal brain states where, some of the research was you could go into a deeper meditational state than a Tibetan monk in 7 minutes. So I tell people to say all their prayers, but ask and you shall receive. The clearer the questions, the clearer the answers. Then be still and know was really shut up and listen. Let yourself know what God wants you to know. And what if you could know that and align with that through every cell of your body? That's that cell resonance. And that spinal column is meant to be that standing column of light, so that being aligned, and then we stay strong in our power, in our light, in our love, knowing all that we stand for, remembering that we're powerful sons and daughters of God, how highly we're connected and all that we have access to.
Right. And again, energy is number one. Breathing is number two. And so what happens when we get stressed out, or when we're angry, or we're upset, our breath gets
Everything
very heavy.
contracts.
And we know that. I mean, our teachers would say, count to 10. Or our parents would say, take a deep breath. And once that happens, then all these negative emotions just dissipate.
Yeah, keeping the love, letting go of everything else. Aloha.
Aloha.
That letting go. Because love is letting go. And we're unlimited beings. So there isn't anything we can't let go of. And as you keep all the love and you're radiating light, nothing that's not of your light, your love can affect you, really. And what is there not to love? These are all, amazing expressions of, this amazing place where this planet, it's a free will zone.
Yeah. But also check yourself
very
out.
Very creative.
Sometimes see yourself as a third person would see you and say, oh my God, what am I doing now? And then you get back to that center.
Yeah, and the breath brings you present. It's like saying, oh yeah, I remember who I am. So you take that deep breath and come and then relax into your power. You have access to it. But the technology really supports that whole mind shift of opening up all those neural pathways. It's like a natural high, which is how we're meant to be in that joy, that high joy vibration. That we're meant to be happy. And of course, clinically, we call it antidepressant effect. But but we're meant to be in that state of joy, the joy of our being here, and sharing the only thing we really want to share, and that's our light, our love, our wisdom, our pleasure, our joy.
Yeah.
I'm reading comments right now. People are joining from Poland. And they said that it's a coincidence that both of you are actually, they love both of you, they fans both of you, and now both of you are sitting here. How beautiful it is. And they also thanking you for bracelets. They're saying that they're loving your bracelets. Yes.
Yeah, the E-bracelets, the blood runs through them. So those work really good. The medallions, it's the high-tech and the low-tech model.
Can you tell more about those medallions? How do they actually made?
Yeah.
And why they so special?
Well, it's the tube torus, that torsion field. You see the infinity wave to it, but it's also the shape of red blood cells. That's the interface, helps maintain the integrity of the DNA and the red blood cells. They're natural stones. I'm just using the stones as a carrier. Scalar's a carrier wave, but it's a way to embed the energy. It's literally high tech and the low tech model. The actual research is a 28% increase in the electrical conductivity of the DNA, and that's Dr. Glenn Ryan. You know him too?
I don't know.
Dr. Glenn Ryan, Stanford, Harvard biophysicist. But 28% increase in electrical conductivity of DNA. That's your cell signaling. That everything's firing. Everything is communication in the body. The body's like an information superhighway. And an aspect of scalar is superconductivity, which is pretty cool, and moving at superluminal velocity,
right?
Which means beyond the speed of light. Scalar is 1.4 times the speed of light. So the body relates to it very, very quickly and helps maintain the integrity then of all the systems in our body.
Brings us to 0 point.
0 point. It's a true 0 point energy, and we're just using the technology as that carrier. So it's the wearable high tech. And they look okay.
Well, also, we have it by the heart. We have it by the wrists here.
Yeah.
And as the blood goes through, it's
the blood runs through it.
Right.
So you want the fluidity of the blood, no clotting, and fully oxygenated. Right. You want to stay strong no matter what we're exposed to. But this is, and the medallions do like a 5-foot cocoon I was talking to somebody earlier about the electromagnetic field of the heart and how the medallions on the heart really helps maintain proper heart function.
We like proper heart function.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the heart, what would be your favorite heart opening modality besides the E system? Like while you're in the E system room, what would be your favorite exercise or ritual?
Breathing more love
just
with
said
every
breathing.
breath.
Breathing.
It's
More like-
always breathing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
oneness with the breath of the love of all life. I mean, it's breathing into the heart and that letting go.
An affirmation and visualization. So when you're doing breathing, to inhale love, exhale stress, or inhale light, exhale stress. Just the breathing, the breath. Again, breathing is number 2.
Yeah. It takes breath for energy to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, that breathing is, in the system, in the technology, it's photons, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's photons. Those are quantums of light. So you're literally breathing light through every cell.
Right.
And the cells vibrate and resonate with the power of truth. You can feel a bit of a buzz in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Light,
a bit
sound,
of a tingle. Yeah.
energy, vibration.
Yeah.
True. And what would be your, not recommendations, but what would you say for someone who is in a low vibrational state right now and trying to get out of that low vibrational state?
Well, I would say, again, the meditation, breathing, affirmation, visualization, eat foods that are high in energy, exercise, very important.
Dance, movement.
Dance. And just love.
Love.
When you give love, you get love.
Yeah. Whatever we send out comes back multiplied. That is the law.
We call it karma in the field.
Yeah, but so don't share anything you don't want to have.
Right.
It's like whatever you send out comes back multiplied. So we're going to share our light, our love, our wisdom, our joy. And then the other thing that's a lost art is always that detox bath. It's always good to, we were talking about that earlier, the skin, the largest organ of elimination. It's the third kidneys. And so you're going to breathe in that bathtub, send yourself to bath heaven, but the salt will draw, toxins, but you breathe, let everything dissolve into the water and let it go down the drain. All the stress, all the tension, all the radiation, all the radiolytic isotopes.
Can you talk more about borax and salt and baking soda, the components of it? What is the science and chemistry and physics behind that?
Yeah, because it is biophysics. It is pure biophysics. The salt will act like a magnet to pull. And it works with the potassium sodium pump. You're using hot water. So you're opening up the capillaries, opening up the pores. It's a hyperthermia, which pumps up the immune function, jumps it up. So you're immune. Because that's naturally how we heal. And it's like doing a fever without having to use the body's energy to do the fever.
Oh, I love that.
But that's how the body clears the fungal loads and the viral loads or the heavy metals or the toxicity. And you breathe, and that's expiration. That allows, the salt in the body, when it's, especially after being in the technology, it's vibrating. It's literally cellular excitation. It has more charge. It's raising the voltage, the cell membrane potential, but the millivoltage of the cells. When the body has more energy, first thing it wants to do is clean house. When it has a charge, it wants to discharge everything that does not belong. And so then the cells be shaking off old stuff, body pushing toxins out of every nook and cranny it can get it out of, and then the salt will pull it like a magnet. And so, but then you have the salt, the bath for radiation, which we're all dealing with extreme radiation poisoning. 2 cups salt, 2 cups baking soda. And then with what we're dealing with now, the borax to help.
Yeah, I've never done the borax.
Yeah, borax.
I like ginger oil in it.
Oh, I use ginger
It's a good
too.
diaphoretic. It just pulls the.
Our EE salt has a really good ginger in it, and green tea to work with the the DNA
Mhm.
and the radiation as well, and then bentonite also to pull.
I was
the
just going to say
toxins.
that
And we
internal
hypercharge it.
cleanse, internal cleanse is really important.
Mhm.
Bentonite, psyllium seeds, just to get all the toxins out, because a lot of disease, well, most disease is caused in the colon, just to clean that out. So that's
Yeah.
very important.
That
Also, what I forgot to
begins
say
in the
before,
colon.
we were talking about love, etc., is community and being around people that are like-minded and keep sharing these ideas. And so that's really important.
Yeah.
Uh,
We have to be the greater community, but it means we have to come together and share
right.
our love with each other. Mhm. Otherwise, it's all been divide and conquer and control through fear. The fear mongering that's gone on, the fear porn.
That's why I like the expos.
But fear and God can't share the same space.
The reason I like the expos is that as we got older, a lot of us are flying and going all over the place. And here, so the expo brings people together.
Yeah, it's like a family reunion.
And even besides my expo.
It felt like that.
Yeah, I'll go to other people's expos because then I can see my friends.
Yeah.
I don't have to work.
Yeah, you can just enjoy in the community.
Right.
It's like communion. Communion of
I'm
saints.
going to bring it back to salt. The science behind the salt. I know you guys miss each other. We're going to have time to talk. But question, today I had a patient who asked me why not to use Epsom salt versus sea salt after using E-system. Can you elaborate more about that?
Yeah, and we get that question a lot, obviously, and people are very deficient in magnesium, and so the magnesium will pull in the water with all the other stuff that's in the water when the body's grabbing the magnesium.
Right.
So you got everybody's chemo drugs or just antidepressants or hormone, the birth control pills. It's all in the water. And so, so you pulling uptaking all that along with the magnesium. So that's, most people are deficient in magnesium, very important mineral. But you want to detox and let go of all the things that ever created dis-ease in the first place. And then use transdermal magnesium is actually the best. So magnesium oil, magnesium lotion, things like that.
So
magnesium
would you say
helps you chill?
Oh, yeah. So would you say if the person is already loaded with magnesium and taking magnesium on a regular basis and relatively not deficient, so they safe to have those salt baths with magnesium salt, or you just recommend against? What is your
I mean, the body is releasing.
Yeah.
It's still going to be releasing and still going to be pulling.
And you want to work with the charge, work with that potassium sodium pump thing in the body, but to pull the excess fluid. But also it's I recommend 2 cups of salt, and I've done that for more than 45 years. the detox salt baths. But when I was lecturing in France, for example, we had the cancer clinics from Spain. They recommend 2 kilos. That's 4.4 cups of salt in the bathtub. And they recommend that because it can pull the acidity out of the body so effectively.
Right.
So I tell people a minimum of 2 cups of salt, a pound of salt. It could be kosher salt, sea salt.
I used to even use up to a half a cup of Chloroxin.
Yeah, that was one of the
old remedies,
One of the old, for pulling chemicals.
Yeah.
Because it creates like a homeopathic too. So it's okay to be doing the bath in the tap water as long as you have the salt, because then you've got a homeopathic where it's going to pull more of the chemicals and toxicity out. And then we get sent the pictures from all over the world of what's in that bath. And the borax has to do with the detox of the fluoride, but also some of the synthetic biologies, like people who have had issues with Lyme's disease, because that's a synthetic biology, or nanobots or things like that.
It's probably great for people that have vaccines too.
Exactly, because it's spike protein. That's not a natural.
Just to pull that out.
It's a synthetic biology. So that's a way to pull it out. And we've seen tremendous benefits for people that have had issues with any of those interventions.
What kind of chunks do you put in the body?
Yeah, there's another question asking, and we get them a lot also here. When the patient has a problem and they come in with a particular problem, they ask the question, what is the optimal? What's the minimum time to spend there to get results? Can I overdose that? What about the radiation that it's coming from? I know the answers, but I want you to say, please.
Okay. We recommend a minimum of 2 hours because you want to give the body time to use the energy to rebalance, but also to reboot, like rebooting a computer. And you want to go from sympathetic, the fear reaction patterns, give let the body reboot, like defragging a computer, go back into coherence and go from sympathetic to parasympathetic. And that's going to flip all the epigenetic expression. That's going to shift how the body's expressing completely in that process. So 2 hours, but it's going to the deep delta and theta brain states, which is where the body can repair, rejuvenate, and regenerate. Also in the delta and theta brain states, that's where the brain can detox. So people's brains can actually do that detox. I tell people to say all their prayers and go that deep meditation state, but they go as deep as you can go. But if you're going in the system with the eyes still open, it's kind of like you're trying to recharge your cell phone, but you're still talking on it. And we've had miracles that way too, with people still with their eyes open and still talking and all that. Crazy miracles. That's great. The body doesn't care. It'll grab the energy and use it. But if you're still talking, it'll keep the cell phone from dying. Right. But it doesn't recharge as efficiently as if you put it down and let it charge. And so same thing with the body, because the body's externalizing energy if the eyes are open. You close the eyes, then you want your body to internalize and repair the organs and the regeneration from within. And that's where the real magic is. You can never have too much good energy. People are finding the real magic is in sleeping in it. It's your ultimate power nap, but beauty rest. But most of our systems, until the revolution of healing came out with Jason Shirka, May 27th of last year, over 90% of our systems were in private homes around the bed, even though we've had it in clinics all over the world, but it's all over the world. But ideally, you'd have it around your bed. You can never have too much good energy. It's just hyper healthy energy.
Now, is there radiation?
Supports the body to totally relax. No, it's a total nullification, neutralization of all detrimental and destructive fields. It's like the energy we'd have if we had heaven on earth, where the body's perfectly supported in your light force energy, your natural state. And so it's a reorganization that goes on with the body to rebalance, reorganize for higher and higher functions.
So you don't have to be worried about radiation, folks.
Yeah. Right. Well, another thing also, but I'm an MD, I'm a doctor, and I'm just observing things, what is happening there, and I'm recording it. So I don't have my opinion yet, but I have my experience with my patients and myself. And so far, it's been nothing but just miracle. But there's some questions that sometimes I cannot just put my neurons together and answer them with my logical brain. So there are patients who have type 1 diabetes. I had 3 of them now who went in the room with type 1 diabetes and their sugar spiked up. And these are the people who have insulin on the pump.
Right.
They're not someone who's just checking and doing the injections. It's constantly on the pump.
Yeah,
there's something happens with the machine with those interactions of the waves.
Now, how long did that take?
Usually within an hour.
No kidding.
Yes, we had patients who had to heal themselves. We had a patient who came with her kid, and she had type 1 diabetes. She couldn't stay. Autistic kid had to stay in the room, but she had to leave and sit here and drink some juice, and we had to, she was feeling okay. It's just the machine was going off saying sugar's high, sugar's high, sugar's high.
Mm.
So I wonder
Yeah,
what's
we've-
happening with
we haven't worked as much with the pumps, that because that's very different than
Mhm,
we've had a lot of people use it with diabetes,
mhm,
type 1 and type 2, and we've seen improvements in everybody.
mhm. Over
Yeah.
the course of
The body's going to try to heal that, but when you have a pump, that's not you're not using the body's own infinite innate intelligence, so you're just going to have to be more monitoring of it, because it always needs adjusted, and things will typically get worse before they get better, trying to balance, and that's, that could be common with blood pressure issues, which you've probably seen blood pressure balance out, but sometimes it'll be higher as the body's pushing all the toxins into the bloodstream. Sometimes it'll spike before it balances,
Mhm.
or the Herxheimer kind of response, your healing crisis kind of thing, as the body's trying to push out what created the dis-ease in the first place.
I agree. Probably there is something is happening during this healing
Mhm.
process within an
Yeah.
hour, 2 hours, and the pump is just reading because it's just a robot that's reading numbers and healing it. A similar reaction happens when we give high doses of vitamin C for someone who has pumps. We just turn them off because we know it's going to be, well, not turn, but we say, ignore your pump, your sugar is going to go up, turn off the pump, don't give yourself insulin because it's just
Uh-huh.
a transient thing.
Yeah,
And
it's
then the
same
healing
kind
starts.
of thing, and then the healing starts. Yes, we've seen
With the high
improvements
dose of vitamin C.
across the board, vitamin C, or with this technology.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was very interesting for me to observe.
yeah.
So
But-
the high dose of vitamin C for
Spikes.
type 2, type 1.
High dose of vitamin C spikes your sugar,
Uh-huh.
but then the body, just like the doctor said, that your body tried to heal
Homeostasis, yeah.
and then reset and
Yeah.
calibrate that. So in the process
Dynamic
of calibration,
homeostasis.
yes,
Is what I
Yeah.
like.
and
Dynamic.
while it's
Right.
trying to achieve that homeostasis, this is when you see all sorts of things spiking. And the only reason why we know that the sugar is spiking is probably because she has that pump that's reading
Right.
it. If she wouldn't have a pump, we wouldn't know.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So when you say that people have it by their beds, and I know also that in different places that have a lot of machines, people sleep overnight in.
Uh-huh.
Now, does that help them sleep better?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really, really good for the deep sleep. Because first symptom of electrosmog and electropollution is sleep disturbances, and being bombarded 24/7 with the EMF, the ELF, the
Right.
radiation, the microwaves, all this stuff. And so then the body stays in that state of fright, flight, or fight, or is continually taking all its energy to cope with the hostile environment. So it takes a lot of energy. So this now it can relax into a place of peace, and where it can actually recharge, regenerate, and heal.
And we do offer overnights here.
Yeah.
It's where the magic is.
Yes. And we see a lot of
Yeah.
magic with
I
it.
call it the scalar slumber party.
I love it.
But we've seen, you name it, we've seen anything and everything with this technology, because
And you commented something having us, our protocols, IV protocols in the system. You commented something about it's being amplified. Can you please elaborate that when someone has this type of settings, when you have E-system and nutritional IV therapies?
Well, it's designed to make any and every other healing modality work better in the first place. So it's going to naturally create a more ideal environment for receiving IVs of vitamin C or Myers cocktails or
Glutathione,
glutathione or lysine, and all these different, NAD, that was another one. Because it's a 28% reduction of surface tension of water. The body's mostly water. So now it can hydrate properly, but your IV can be so much more effective. And we've seen that since Dr. Victor Marcial Vega, the Johns Hopkins trained oncologist, did IVs in our system starting in 2001. And so it's the ideal place to receive it. And just that much more healing. The body can use it more. It's more modulated for the individual because it helps adjust it with that body being supported in dynamic homeostasis. is going to support that balancing.
And you probably found that out in the
Oh, yeah.
practice here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we did so many interesting, we saw so many interesting things. And then the question is now, being a scientist, what would be your ideal study, research? Like,
Oh,
if
there's
you
so
and I,
much.
we decide to do an article, which that's my dream. Okay, if you
Yeah.
say, "Oh, do this research, do that, let's just create this," what would be the model for you? How would you?
Yeah,
What
there's-
parameters you would look at? How would
yeah,
you do
there's
it?
so many things that can be studied. Just depends on what modalities we want to use for testing and things like that. But of course, being with an OBGYN practice, we've seen so much with fibroids,
Yes,
and you've already seen that,
I've
right?
already seen that. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting things that are happening with fibroids, which I've
Yeah.
never seen in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's regenerating the tissue, so that's calcification, adhesion. It's calcification, so it sends the calcium back to the bones. You have the same frequencies as bone regeneration, but it's because it's alkalinizing the body so much, in the alkalinization of the body's tissues, and then that regenerative effect at the same time regenerates scar tissue. So through the whole body. But it's very
Yeah, I should
interesting.
live in that room.
Yeah.
It's available.
But so we can't make those claims, but that'd be a great study, because we've had so many people that have been scheduled for hysterectomies, and they go back and they can't find the fibroids or the tumors or the, we hear it every day almost. And it's always kind of been like that. It's kind of an interesting, but any kind of keloid fibroid type tissue, it seems to regenerate well.
Mm-hmm. So the question for two of you: you are representatives, or you are the messengers of this spiritual community, heal yourself, heal thyself community.
Mhm.
I am the representative of the other camp, which is conventional, traditional allopathic medicine. So I am for fusing together, because I'm a surgeon and I know there's certain things that need to be sometimes surgically removed, but I do believe in human repairing and body abilities. How would you see ideally, like, let's say, if we would be in power, how would you say, don't say kill all doctors, because you need them.
No. Especially emergency medicine.
Right. How would you see
Give people-
ideal
Yeah.
hospital, ideal birthing center? How's that?
Ideal
You know what
birthing
is also
center.
is that a lot of the hospitals were jumping on the bandwagon, and were having their holistic part, or their what they call it, integrative part.
Integrative medicine.
There was a lot of different names they're using. And I remember when Sloan Kettering brought me in, and they wanted me to review the magazine, their integrative medicine. And I told them, I said, honestly, you don't want me to write this. Because I said, any similarity this is to integrative medicine is purely coincidental. And so, and then even, an herbalist, and we had, was the first place you could sell herbs, and we had 400 herbs in bulk. It was the first place you could sell herbs in capsules or tinctures. Also court 3 times that year. It was in 76. And they wanted to have a pharmacist on premises. And in those years, pharmacists knew nothing. So I won in court, and I proved that herbs is part of the grass list. Yes, it's a food, not a drug. And so what they have to do to integrate is to open up their mind to all the possibilities, and not negate. I'm talking about allopathic, not negate things they don't understand. Or with understanding may come acceptance, but they have to try it out. They need to learn more medical school, all the different modalities. And
It has to start from the young, when they in medical school, pre-meds,
right.
part of
Yeah.
the curriculum.
Well, and part of the curriculum, because there is so much research on nutrition and herbs and all kinds of PubMed. You can pull up all kinds of
But then what
studies
do they do? Then what allopathic doctors do is they take the active ingredient of an herb, and they synthesize it and make their own pills. when
Right.
the active ingredient is usually the dangerous part of the herb.
Let's correct, please. It's
And-
not the doctors that
I'm
do
sorry,
that.
but-
It's
and-
certain
and-
institutions
yeah.
that do that.
And so the active ingredient is the dangerous part.
Yes.
So usually the other ingredients have a synergistic effect, which negates it. And so they have to learn more about that. And I taught in university about herbs, and I would teach the chemical constituents. And once you learn what the chemical constituent of herb is, then you realize if another herb has that. So they have to really delve more into that. It's not airy-fairy anymore. It's like 50 years later. I mean, jump on the bandwagon, because integrative medicine, if allopathic and alternative got together, then it'd be perfect. It'd be a perfect system.
Right.
They're afraid of it, just like they were afraid of the chiropractors, just like they were afraid of the homeopaths.
We're talking ideal world.
Huh?
Yeah.
And
We're
then
talking
ideal-
ideal world, what to manifest,
Yeah.
to create this model and manifest that.
Yeah, that integrative model. Where
What
it's
about the birthing center?
Holistic, where you're bringing forward all the best aspects.
How do
of
you
everything.
see ideal birthing center? Because birthing, it's a sacred, to me,
Yeah.
it's a very sacred process.
Very sacred, and and I was a birth coach as well, and rebirthing, and doing all the breath work
Right.
with pregnant couples, and
Mhm.
and creating the ideal birth. I talked about Sandra Ray's book Ideal Birth, and people being able to focus on creating because there've been a lot of births on this planet before it was ever medicalized.
Well, that's why I delivered my child at my yoga center. I figured if cab drivers can deliver children, what can I? Or an African woman can hold a branch running to work and then have a baby and go.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
when the first birthing center started in New York, it was the year my daughter was born, and that was in 1979. And my ex-wife, Yamina, and I, we went in the birthing center. And after a while, everybody was looking at us instead of to them, because they were recommending hamburgers and French fries and things like that.
Which is
And,
crazy.
and then I went into the
have a healthy
records.
baby without healthy
Yeah,
food.
but I went to the records and I found out that 80% of their births were cesarean. And that was the claim to fame, that they didn't. So I don't know if we got thrown out or if we left, but. So a birthing center would have to be more.
More education.
Well, because it's not a disease.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, the infinite innate intelligence of a woman's body, if it's not interfered with, wants to, we've forgotten how to be women. And it's a crazy thing, but yeah, my first child, I have 4, and of course they're all natural childbirth. But the first time, we've never seen anybody do such a good job. Can we bring in all the interns? I was, because I did my homework, I did all the research, and I was doing the breathing. So ideally, there'd be more of the breath work, the classes, the preparation, and encouraging people to detox before pregnancy.
100%.
Take a year. You can't expect to have a healthy baby if you're still poisoning.
Right.
So
you have to create that environment yourself.
Yeah, you're going to invite a special soul into a toxic waste dump.
Remember when rebirthing first started? The reason they had rebirthing was that they said that baby's born in the hospital and the bright lights are on them, and they spank the baby and the baby's crying, and they said the baby doesn't get that really breath back. And so that's why this modality rebirthing.
Question, speaking of baby's born, the soul just came from the other side. So then the soul leaves to the other side. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that part. Life. After.
Okay.
What happens to the soul when it leaves? And then what happens to the past lives? How people see it. Everybody sees it differently. Some people see it as I was, Caesar, or I was this and that. But what really happens?
Well, I believe that children pick us.
Yeah, but what happens when we die?
What happens when we die?
Yeah.
We're eternal.
Yeah, because don't forget so you're in a hospital, people flatline all the time. And yet, if they get recharged, they come back. Yeah. And when that last comes out of the body and the soul leaves, then they say it's really beautiful. They say it's a beautiful place. Everybody that's
near
had
death
past lives.
experiences,
Yeah.
there's many books on that, etc.
And
But we're eternal. There is no such thing as death. We're eternal spirit. The word spirit,
Right.
comes from the Latin word spirare,
uh-huh.
which means to breathe. God breathed the breath of life into man. After that, we're in a free will zone, whether we're continually, constantly reconnecting with that source of all power, light, and love or not. That's that power of aloha, to that oneness with that breath, the sacred breath of life.
So
and it continues. In Hawaii, we call it a change of address.
I like that because we pick these bodies to come here this time. But when you have, I remember when James Van Prague was at the expo and I spoke with him, I said, how do you do that? How do you talk to this? He goes, I don't even want to do this. He said, I feel like all these people are talking to me. And so a lot of people are on that spiritual plane that they connect to, and you feel, sometimes you actually feel like, I think my mom is like watching this, or something.
Beings
like
with bodies and beings without bodies are still beings.
Right.
And they're still beings of light, really.
And then we get into the whole angel thing. So that all we are, as we said before, is energy.
Yeah.
So when the soul leaves the body, the spirit leaves the body, the energy is there. They're just not living in this
dimension, this 3D.
Right.
We're more.
And there's also, I was going to ask you another question. I have so many questions, I know. Karma, the way Westerns understand karma, it's almost like revenge from the other side. Can you
It's
please?
action and reaction. It's
Can
what
you
we
please
put
see
out
how-
in the universe.
Yeah, how do you see it?
What we put out in the universe comes back to us in the universe. You put out positivity comes back. Negativity comes back. Anger comes back. So what we put out is what we receive. Yeah. So that's what karma really is, action and reaction.
Yeah.
What about when people say, I have this karma because I'm carrying it from generations, and they blame their parents and they blame...
I hate the blame game.
That's blame catchers, blame throwers. It's a blame game thing. And things can only heal to the extent where there's no blame. Because this is a free will zone. It's a very creative space. There are no victims.
Go inside, baby.
There are no victims. Now, you want to call forth all the wisdom of all that ancestral information. It's just information, really. All that experience. Let's call forth all the wisdom of all that, all the way back to source, and be, the buck stops here.
As I take responsibility for your life. People have to take responsibility for their life.
Yeah, and people have to take responsibility for their own health and do that work, do the deep shift. We want to give people the energy to change their mind, change their language, change their diet, because you can't expect to be super healthy if you're still poisoning yourself. It's like if you want a healthy child, I would tell people, don't put anything into your body that doesn't make a healthy body.
Right.
If you want to have a healthy
and you can
child.
measure the energy of the food that goes in your body. And of course,
true.
live food is, the energy is higher, and meat and
life comes from life. We don't get more aliveness by putting in more dead stuff. It's pretty simple. You need life force energy.
And everybody should have their own diet, but I mean, basically animals eat animals.
Next question. We all die. And one day,
there's no such thing as death. We're
it's
eternal beings.
And then
but these bodies are a different thing.
Right. But now, let's say when you leave this planet, before you leave this planet, there's a moment when you still can talk to your loved ones, and you actually, connected to the whole entire collective. And you have 3 things to say to collective before you leave. What would be that 3 important things before you leave would be for not only for your children, but for the whole entire collective?
Yeah. I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for allowing us all the experiences. It's taken so much love for everybody to allow each other all these experiences just so we can learn and grow.
Yeah. And I hope I have no regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, because the only thing that really counts is the love that we've shared.
Mhm.
Thank you. You were wonderful. I would sit here till tomorrow.
That was a great question. I mean, It
Yeah.
kind of made.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to sit with two of you and just
Yeah.
absorb not only wisdom.
You want healthy, conscious transitioning, not
But-
people drugged out of their
Right.
bodies or out of their minds out. You want healthy, conscious, just like with birth.
This is
conscious
exactly,
birth,
yes.
and you want
Conscious
conscious
death.
departure,
Yep.
where everything is ho'oponopono, where the relationships are all, it's like a life review. And you want to call forth keep the love, let go of everything else.
And it's not a sad moment. It's
No.
a beautiful
And I
moment.
don't
It's
know.
joyful. It's like a
Ecstatic.
family reunion.
It
It's
is.
a celebration. It's like a graduation party.
I don't know if you feel it out there, but this is vibration of love here, right now, real special.
Immense.
I've been what I call a spiritual escort service, whether it's the beings coming in with birthing, or the beings that want a spiritual escort out
Uh-huh.
and help them transition with all their family and that joyfulness of going across that rainbow bridge.
Right.
And it's they get to graduate. Graduation party, celebration party. And I did that with my dad, and there were so many beings just waiting for him
I love it.
to thank him for everything he had shared with them. And
I'll tell you an
like
interesting
that. It
story.
was a welcoming party.
That my daughter 2 years ago, so she had flatlined a few times, and she said while she was in the coma, while she flatlined, my mom had died 2 years before, 94. Very special woman, all love. She was all love. She was like the mother of the expo, all love. And my daughter said that she saw my mom, like she started going into this light, and so my mom kept saying no,
Yeah,
and she came back.
sent her
Wow.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we love Daniel Brinkley's work,
Sure.
Saved by the Light. If people want to, hear more about what, he created the
CIA.
hospice
Yeah.
program.
It's called
for the-
Conscious in Action,
Uh-huh.
where he goes and trains people to go to hospices for veterans
Mhm.
and to take them through transition.
Yeah.
Because he died 3 times. So he says, I know it's like.
My favorite quote from him,
Well,
of course, I met him. I think he says it's 1978 when we met, something like that.
yeah, that's what I meant. Actually, late
I met him
60s,
in
yeah.
Egypt actually, but my favorite
love
quote of him, and he's a big Southern guy,
Yeah.
I mean, he was a mercenary, all that stuff, big guy. But my favorite quote from is standing up at a conference, one of the big conferences, and he's standing up there and he goes, "Let me tell you, people, you just don't die."
And he was a shit kicker. But I mean, like the lightning went through him, and he was in a coma for 6 months, and his shoes stuck to the ground. He came out, mellowed him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good friend. He's a good person. Yeah.
And came back that the future of
Did you meet him at the show?
No.
yeah.
Good.
No.
Yeah, that in the future, the battle for the souls of mankind would be fought in the healthcare arena. So we want health caring, but the battle for the souls of mankind would be fought in the healthcare
I
arena.
like that healthcare.
That was one of his boxes that he came back with
That
prophecy.
is so interesting that it's happening today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hijacking of the DNA
I tell
has
you,
to do with that.
yeah, and also
Yeah,
we're
to
talking
take
about,
our light from the core of our DNA, the displacement by the luciferase and things like that.
That was a very
It's
interesting
like God code.
This conversation about death and what happens to us. It's very interesting, and I'm sure when people will be listening to this, a lot of hearts who are grieving right now for their loved ones probably will benefit from this.
well, also, I mean, the
The
people
love's eternal, though.
and the people that do, they're more sad for themselves. Yeah, more
Yeah.
sad for themselves, and a lot of people are just ready to leave. You know,
And one of the things that's part of healing with the technology, it's transdimensional.
Mhm.
It's, by definition, fifth dimensional beyond. But it's been very, very easy for people to communicate with their recently departed loved ones
I like that.
and create that communication to know how they are, but also what do they want them to know, or complete any incompletions that they've had
Mhm.
in the that things that were unresolved. And so it's been very, very healing for people to have that direct communication.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I had more time, but we're gonna do it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing us all together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was very healing. It was beautiful. Your presence in this office just made it even more healing. So I'm sure people will benefit from the conversation that we heard today for many aspects of their lives. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you. Come again.
Thank you for having
Thank
me
you.
here. And
Yeah.
as you know, there's nothing better for post-op.
And she's a medical
Stop
doctor
healing.
and a real yogi.
Yeah.
I'm a AAA of yogis, adapt, adjust, accommodate. And you do all three. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us. It was great. We're going to talk about this more. Look at these beautiful, beautiful people. Say bye to them. Thanks for coming. Until then, goodbye. Thank you.
She's tricky.
Did I